You guys are heading to the Gainesville Regional. What was your reaction to hearing that bid?
Yeah, I mean, it's a site we've been to a few times just because they're in our conference. So I think that certainly is helpful. I mean, I think we were, one time zone. That's always good. I think so. I think there's some things there's definitely some positives, familiarity with the venue, relatively close time zone wise. So a lot of good things there. I think we were, and then being able to compete on Friday and Sunday I feel like that's good for us, gives us an extra day to kind of get ready. So I think we're excited about it. And then we're in the afternoon session, the evening session, which I think is great because we can sleep in a little bit and kind of a normal competition time for us. So I think a lot of positives there.
Absolutely. You guys had a good performance at the SEC
Yeah.
championships. Second season in a row, you guys have set a new conference championship team score record. Just what were some of your takeaways from that action?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I certainly think, I think it's easy to get to think that the score is in a lot of times they're definitely related, score and performance. But I actually thought that was our most complete performance of the year, quite honestly. The scoring was just tight, that's to be expected, I think, in postseason play, or whenever you have like a four judge or six judge panel, which we'll be getting to those in these stages of the competition season. So I think that was one of the things that we talked about was like, look, the scoring is going to be a little tighter. Don't worry about that. Let's just focus on performance and how we're doing. And I certainly think that was one of our most complete, if not our most complete performance across the board. I thought everything was really solid, right? We were at 49-3 roughly or better on every event other than vault. And even vault, we were 49-2-5. That was the hardest judged event at that SEC championship. And I think we ended up, our score was good enough for like fourth overall out of all teams. And the only teams that beat us on vault were all in the evening session where scores, they have a tendency to jump up a little bit. So yeah, I was really pleased, and we definitely took a step forward on beam and showed some toughness over there. And so we're excited about postseason, and I think things are moving in the right direction.
Obviously, it's been award season the past couple days for you guys.
Yeah,
You guys had three All-Americans selected today for the regular
yeah.
season. Just what was your reaction to that, and how proud of you are of Mara, Sienna, and Jocelyn for taking home that honor?
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. It's well deserved. The all SEC stuff is awarded from that SEC championship meet specifically. The All American stuff is really a culmination of your body of work of your whole season. So not surprised that those young ladies were awarded those. Excited for them. They've worked hard all year long. I think this is just for Sienna and Jocelyn and Mara. Really, these are just some more accolades. They're multi-time All-American, so it's great to see them do it again this year. And yeah, really proud of them because they've certainly worked hard for those, and I think those were goals of theirs at the beginning of the year as well.
And then you touched on it a little bit, all of the seven gymnasts that got all SEC too.
Yeah.
Jocelyn getting event specialist of the year. Just, I thought it was really cool how you guys were the SEC team that had the most all SEC selections. Just what do you think that kind of says about your program being able to do that?
Yeah, well, I think it says we've got a lot of talent on our team. Number one, right? There's a lot of talented young women on our team, and talented young women that can step it up at the right time of year. And so excited, and really all across the board, right? I mean, we had two freshmen that got all freshmen and all SEC, so that tells us that even though we may be losing a couple of seniors in the next month or whatever with Sienna, we got some more talent coming up, and we had the juniors, we had seniors, we had freshmen, right? So that was really exciting to see, and I think it was great for our freshmen to experience that event and do really well at that event. Those were some of their best competitions and some of their events with Kennedy and Hannah, and they really stepped up. So excited for them to kind of reap the benefits of performing well in the big stage.
You talked a few weeks ago about how once postseason play rolls around, it's not so much about putting
Right.
on like a big team score, but more it's about now it's being able to beat your competition to keep advancing.
Right.
What kind of goes into that mindset shift, and how do you guys prepare your team for that?
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much. It's kind of like any other postseason. It's kind of a survive in advance type of, for fans to understand it. It's like, look, it doesn't mean, if you beat them by 1 point, you still win the game, right? So it doesn't matter. So for us, really, we're just trying to perform well enough that we're in the top two, at each of those sessions, so we can continue to move forward in there. And again, I don't think it really changes too much for our how we approach it. We're again, it doesn't matter what point of the season you're at. We're just trying to find ways to get a little bit better, right? And that gets harder, obviously, as we get better and the season goes on. It's harder to get better. And so I think the teams that can find ways to stay sharp and to get find ways to get a little bit better. That's how we're approaching it, and that's really what served us well in the past on peaking at this time of year. I think you can go into it. I think there are mentalities of like, hey, let's just hold on, right? Let's just see if we can maintain, right? We're not here to maintain. We're here to get better, right? Because this is a great opportunity for us to do that. And that's kind of embedded in our culture too, is that we get better in the postseason. That's something that I think our track record has shown, and that's a mentality that we've kind of breed within our program too. Is we're going to find ways to get better when it matters the most.
You kind of previewed my next question right there. You guys ended the regular season hitting a season best team score. You
Mhm.
hit the program record for a conference championship score last time out. Do you feel like your group is starting to put four events together and peak at just the right time?
I do. I think that's I do. I think you can never quit. It's easy. I feel like it would have been easy, towards the middle to latter part of the season to be like, oh man, we're out of luck. It's just not going to happen this year. We never quit. I think that's something that we preach, and you just continue to work. We're going to continue to find solutions, whether that's plugging new people into the lineup or tweaking things or doing those things. So I'm excited for him. I feel like the last few weeks, especially kind of Illinois moving forward, I feel like there's some we've kind of figured out a couple of things and made a little bit of a shift in some small things, and I think they're paying big dividends. But I see a lot of confidence, and I see a lot of determination, and I think that last weekend certainly, and that wasn't our cleanest performance on beam either. We had some errors in there, right? I mean, our first kid let off and went with a 9.5 something, so there was kind of a misconnection there. She didn't do a bad job. It just kind of we had a little error in there on that part, but we could have, and then the next five up all hit, right? So that shows me some toughness right there. If you can do that and your first kid up has a little bit of an error, then I think that definitely tells you where their mindset is and their toughness level is. So we're really excited for them, and I think they're excited to get to the next competition too.
From your experience in regionals and beyond, what do you think sets those teams apart that are able to make a run, not just in regionals and the regional final, but beyond that as well?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be healthy, right? I think, that's obviously a pretty obvious thing. And I do think we're pretty healthy, honestly, for this time of year. We've got 7, 8 people that are available on each event that can keep us in the mix, because you do need some different personnel too, because you compete on a like this next week we'll compete Friday, and then we do our job, we're going to compete again on Sunday. So you may have to kind of plug and play and move some people around a little bit. So you do have to have that ability right there. Um, I think you have to have the mindset, like we just kind of talking about. They have to feel like, hey, we're getting better. Like we can do this, and we have not seen our best gymnastics yet. So I think that is a really important mentality to have moving into this part of the year. Um, and I think obviously all these awards and that stuff and these accolades are just confidence boosters. We certainly don't take them for granted, but we use them as kind of reasons why we can be successful. So with postseason play, again, I think if we can open up like last weekend at SECs, we felt like it was really important to open up strong on that very first event. That's something I feel like we needed to work on and do better at. And we did that last weekend. We opened up, and I think we stuck 4 or 5 dismounts in that first rotation. And I thought they did really well. And I think that kind of set the tone for us But that's what we wanted to do too. That was an intentional thing. And I think if we can do that moving forward, is attack that first event. I certainly think that kind of sets the tone for what's going on for the day.
It's exactly what I was getting ready to ask you
Yeah.
too. Just looking back at those last couple meets, what are the things that you've really liked that you've seen from your group, and what are those areas that you're still emphasizing leading up into regionals?
Yeah, I think attacking that first event, like coming in and not waiting around to see how it's going to go, not waiting around to react. Now you do have to react at times to certain situations, but we want to go in and set the tone right off the bat. And I think that's something we were intentional about. We talked about it, and then we executed it. So I think that those are things that are important. Obviously, going in and sticking landings. Last weekend we had our highest stick percentage of the year. We went 10 for 18. So that was great. So we were over half, right? Over 50%. And I think that was really a key to us doing as well as we did on there. So yeah, I mean, again, sticking landings, attacking that first event, I think just going in with a determined mindset, and which I think they are. I think we should, if we have a good day on day one, which we intend to do, right? That'll put us into the regional final round. And at that point, when you get to regional finals, all those teams are good, right? Like those, they're all good. If the top four seeded teams make it in, right, that'll be Florida, Utah, Michigan State, and us, right? I don't care who's in that session. They are all, whoever makes it out of that session is going to have a pretty darn good day right there. It doesn't matter if it's the 1 seed or the 2 seed or whoever it is. So but all those teams are good, and so are we, and we certainly have a ton of talent as we've demonstrated.
I got one more for you. This is,
Yep.
I believe, your ninth straight season that you guys have made it NCAA regional. I'm just curious, what do you think makes this particular group unique compared to maybe some of those other teams that you've had?
Yeah, well, one thing we talked about last weekend is I thought was really a great thing was that, hey, we had different people step up in different situations last weekend, and throughout the year we have too. But I think it's really great that, that was an incredible save by Sienna on beam last weekend. But our highest scoring beam routine was Sydney, right? So I think that was really cool. And in some ways, I feel like when you have things like that, you have people like that can step up. It takes a little bit of pressure off that one person. I think that you feel like, oh, they have to hit, or we can't get this done. And I think that is actually a huge confidence booster, not only for the person that did well, but also for the person that maybe always feels like they have to deliver, right? And I think that can take a little bit of weight off their shoulders. Hannah Horton did it on vault, right? A kiddo that has had a little bit of some trouble and now has come back with a vengeance and a different kind of intentionality right there. And she was our highest vault score, right? And ended up fourth overall at SECs. So things like that, and when people step up in those situations that are not some of our kind of quote unquote normal routines that are big for us, that is super helpful, because then that builds trust. And they're like, listen, any one of us can get this done, right? Any one of us can step up. We don't have to have, kiddo X, Y, and Z have to do this. No, we have 6 people that could step up and go 9-9 for us, right? So I think those are huge things, and I think that is what really that sets this team apart. I feel like maybe in years past we had to have our number 5 and 6 kid in that lineup. If they didn't hit, we were in trouble. Now I feel like we could have a number of different combinations of people do their job, and we can do really well in that event. So